In this lesson, we will learn about CTB files and about how to apply them to our layers and our plans. Since the end of the last lesson, what we have right now is a flattened plan of all of our 3D lines. We have everything on one layer, which is the ground floor layer, and we have everything in one gray color. What we need to do right now is give it a little bit more depth by adding different layers as well as different colors, and these colors are going to be telling the plot settings what thickness to print each line out at. So the information is going to pass through a CTB file, and that is what I'm going to be talking about in this lesson. Now, if you'll have a look to the left here, you have already a template that is visually going to be showing you what color is going to be printing at what thickness. So you have this laid out from thinnest at the top to thickest at the bottom, and essentially what this means together with the CTB file is that as soon as a certain line within your plan section or elevation is going to be at any of these predefined colors, it is going to print out at exactly this thickness in black. So the CTB file can be found within your referenced file folder. So just go ahead and select that dt_CAD course plot style file, go ahead and right click and copy that, and then within AutoCAD go down to your file drop menu, go to plot style manager, and then just go and copy that in. You just need to go and paste. I've already got it in, so I'm just going to copy and replace there. Now it's going to be in your plot styles folder within the AutoCAD folder. So now if you go to one of your layouts, right click, go to page setup manager, modify, you will see that within the page setup layout you have a plot style table, and you can then go down and choose the Digital Tutors CAD course plot style. If you click this little edit button to the right, you will see that these top few colors here are already assigned with these line weights. So you'll see that magenta is at 1 millimeter, red is at 0.1, and this is exactly the information that I showed you on the file over here, where red is 0.1, magenta is 1 millimeter, and so forth. Note as well that if you choose a color which is not going to be one of these predefined colors, then it is going to give you a different result. If you double click on the CTB file, you'll also be able to edit it within this format. So for example, if I had to choose color 55, I'm going to get a default line weight. So nothing is going to be set up unless you go and manually set up the different line weights and the properties for that particular color. So just remember that you basically set up what you're going to be using. If you're comfortable only using 3 colors, thick, medium, and thin, then have a CTB file with just those thicknesses. But remember as well that as soon as you work within an architectural office, you're going to have predefined templates to follow. You're most likely going to be given most of these elements that they want you to use in your plans, so that all of their plans have a certain consistency. Also remember that once it comes time to submitting your plans to authorities, those authorities are going to have certain color requirements for certain elements within your plan. So certain things are going to have to be colored red, brown, black, and so forth. So for our plan and for our purposes, we're busy doing a design plan. So we're going to be using these color thicknesses to correctly represent how things are being viewed. Now generally we use the thicker colors when things are being cut through. In our case we have some structure like these columns being cut through, so we could use a color like yellow for that. We have certain floor elements that are going to be seen quite close to the view, so we could color those in red, and then the elements that are going to be further away or less visible or less pronounced are going to be colored in gray. So let's go ahead and set that up. We're going to first of all choose to select all of the elements within our plan. We're going to choose to color everything by layer, and that's going to give us the opportunity to now go into our layer manager and select each of the layers and give it a color. We can then go and select all of the objects within our model and then go and assign it to that layer. So the structure, as I mentioned, is going to be in yellow. The floors are going to be red, so slightly thinner. Context is going to be gray since it is less important. Everything that is above our plan is going to be gray as well, and then later on we'll have a look at the line type for that. So first of all, let's go and hide all of the layers that we're going to be adding the objects to, and you'll see why in just a moment. I'm going to first of all select all of the floors. So I'm manually going to select all of the lines or the polylines that are going to be on that floor layer. And it's a good thing to note at this point that if you have a very complicated plan or you have many shapes to select, it is a better idea to go and choose that layer within 3D Max before you create the shape. So once you have a new layer created and you create the shape, that shape in 3D Max will be assigned to that layer that you've created and selected. So now we've selected all of these lines or these polylines. So let's go ahead to our layer manager drop down and then let's assign that to the floors layer. All of those are going to be removed because they're hidden, and that's great because now we've eliminated what we've already assigned to a particular layer. Next, I'm going to select all of the context, and I'm going to go down to context and just repeat this process until I'm done. This is going to go onto the floor layer, and I'm going to now select everything that's above, which is going to be the actual pavilion or the expo floor, which is above the entire ground floor, as well as all of these canopies, which are going to be above too. So that goes to the above layer. This will also go to the floor layer, and let's also assign these stairs to the floor layer. So that's going to go there, and then everything else is going to be layered as structure. So I'm just going to repeat that process, structure layer. And then once I turn on all my layers, you'll see that everything has been textured or colored according to that layer as far as the layer manager has predefined. So what I'd like to do right now is give a little bit of a line type to some of the lines, and then I will show you some of the issues that you can come across and that you just need to watch out for. So what we're going to do now is choose to have all of the lines which are above our plan in a dot dash line type. So let's go ahead to our line type drop down, choose other, and we're going to load a dot dash line type. So let's choose this one over here. And we're going to say OK. And then if you selected the line and you give it that dot dash line type, you'll see that no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to see it. So if I just draw a simple polyline here and I match properties using MA, and I also have this dot dash line type, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to view it on this line. So just for me to change this style or the scale quickly, let me type Control-1 on the keyboard. I'm going to quickly go through these sizes. I'm going to scale it up to a factor of, let's say, 30 so that we can clearly see it. And you'll see that even though I match properties by typing MA between the two, this one is never going to show me the correct line type. So the way that we're going to get around that is by using a very small command that we're going to talk about in the next lesson. It's called a LSP file, and it's a little script that is going to basically convert this line, which is actually a 3D polyline, and it's going to convert that down to a 2D line, which is going to be more like the one that we have here, which can have line types assigned to it. So join me in the next lesson when we go and talk about that. The main topic that I wanted to deal with in this lesson is the one of the CTB files, and then just relayering everything and having all of your objects to be colored by layer. So that's what we covered, and we're going to talk about the LSP file in the next lesson.